That supplements the general budget and also relieves things that were formerly paid for. Another dividend this building has already produced is the fact that by virtue of it being here and the additional space, the kids have been able to come back to school. They're not just solely confined to the high school, but now they can spread out, and we have the best, safest scenario that we could possibly have given the extra space. A final figure I'd like to share with you is that 1 year ago in the fall, the insurance company came out and did an evaluation. And bear in mind, this was prior to final completion, before the floor and those types of things were actually in place. At that time, 1 year ago, the building was valued at $6.1 million. It's worth even more than that now. Yeah. So I'd just like to ask, we have several financial people, banks, commercial real estate investors in the room, and just to put things in perspective, if I came to you and said, I'd like to invest $1.5 million, and in 4 years it's going to be worth 6.1, would you say that was a sound investment? Would you sign off and give me a loan? It's a pretty good value. So, honestly, we wish it could have been completed sooner, but we had to be good stewards. We had to measure every cost. The money ebbed and tide. It wasn't a constant cash flow. We had to be very particular in how we spent. I would much rather stand before this group today and explain why it took us 4 years to get this thing done than I would come to you individually and say, we took your money, but we still have a dark, empty shell. So it's done now. Thank you for your patience. I hope that this building and in the story of its journey can be an example and a lesson to our kids. And I think that lesson is that even when a small group of focused people come together with a unified purpose, this is what's possible. Anything's possible. And this is a living example of that truth. I would also say that I believe this is true of everyone here. None of us who pitched in, who made this happen, did this looking for a pat on the back. It's not about any one of us. It's really about the kids and the community, and look what we've been able to achieve together. So in the end, we had a unique window in time where all the right people and all the right circumstances came together. Personally, I don't believe this is by coincidence. I personally believe we had a little help from God himself, and he had his hand on this project. I can tell you, cite several examples where the money was running out. We weren't sure we would be able to continue. There was a challenge with occupancy, building permits, subcontractors, and every time the door opened just a little bit wider and we were able to press forward. I've had Jesus on speed dial. See me after, I'll share his number. In conclusion, I thought about how to summarize this event, and I thought something that Coach Jim Kearns sent to me says it best. Got a text last week when the kids all came back and this building was officially put into use. It hit the ground running. This is a quote from Jim. I took every class through the ARC at Alexander Recreation Center yesterday, and I wish you could have been there for the facial expressions, reactions, and comments. They are kids, and it was genuine. One of the most stated comments was, I never even knew this was here. I thought it was a doctor's office, along with whoa, wow, and many other comments. So I don't think any of us could have said that any better. I'd like to now move on to the recognition portion of our ceremony before we cut the ribbon. Bradford, you're late, but come on in here. Line up on the side. Brad Thompson, everyone. I'd like to recognize a couple of groups who have joined us this morning, and I don't mean, for those at home, I don't mean to turn my back to the camera, but I want to speak to them to their face. From the Village Council, where we have Neil. And Neil, who's with you today? So we appreciate, thank you very much for coming out and support. The building committee. There are so many members of the athletic club building committee that made this happen. I can't possibly name them all, so I'm just going to thank them as a group. They put in a lot of long hours, spent a lot of their time, their own funds, etc. I'd like to recognize the Board of Education who signed off on the initiation of this building, launched the process. Fred Davis, Pat Lawson, John Hutchison, Corey Russell, and Mike Chapman, who couldn't be here today. The present board, Jay Barnes is here as the president, representative of the present board. And Jay, who do you have with you today? All right, so we appreciate them coming out. And Fred, that's right. Okay. There's one person I have to single out. Schaller, you had to know this was coming before we go on to our sponsors, but there's probably two people that touched this project the most and had their hands in all of the buckets. Les and Nate Schaller. Nate helped fundraise. He was the project manager, which meant he served as the general contractor. He was putting in long days at school. Through the winter and spring, he was coaching, and he had a family to go home to in the evening. So he still found time to get this done and to help us out. So if we could just recognize Nate, big hand for Nate. All right, let's go around to some of our sponsors. I'll try to keep my distance, but where's our Hocking Valley? From Hocking Valley Bank, Tammy Bobo and Polly Sumney. Tammy's the president, and Holly, you're executive vice president. All right, I got it right. The gymnasium's named for them. They're a staple in this community. They really helped the project get off the ground and gave it momentum, so thank you. Holzer, there we are. From Holzer, the Director of Athens Operations and Administration is Trina Bressler, and with her is Ashton Parsons from Marketing. Holzer, of course, has the clinic here, and I'm happy to say that just as we needed a little boost to get across the finish line last year, Holzer came through with a big donation. If you look out the window, the scoreboard, Dr. Aaron Ramsey, chiropractor, and Holzer administration teamed up and really came through for us with a big donation. So thank you very much for that. People's Bank, Nathan Roush. Hannah Gilkey. I had three names and I wanted to make sure I got it right. You know, we've got several overlapping types of institutions. We have two banks, two insurance companies, two hospital organizations. People's Bank, frankly, I didn't know a whole lot about before their involvement, but they practically came to us. We got word that they were doing some programs in the community and got in touch with them, and within days, Nathan and a couple other from his team came out. They did a site visit, just really embraced the project and encouraged us to put in to their foundation for money, and they've been a faithful contributor, a significant sponsor. It's amazing, quite frankly, their involvement in the community. They help individuals with finance, insurance, investments, sponsored the Southeastern Ohio Food Bank, supporter of OU Athletics, Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Fund, Nelsonville Opera House. So we appreciate your contribution. In fact, today they brought us an installment, and I just want to thank Nathan for that. Thank you very much. All right, Rocky Brands, Stephen Crook. Everyone knows Rocky Brands. We think of them as a Nelsonville company, but the truth is they are widely invested in our community. Rocky Brands has obviously done things in Nelsonville, Logan, and they gave us quite a shot in the arm here as well, sponsoring our training room. Stephen's a member of the local community, had kids in the district, so thank you very much, and to Rocky as well for helping make this happen. The Ulloa family. I get it right? All right. All right. Doctors Katie and Sergio and their kids, Enrique, Javi, and Danny. Please take a bow. Dr. Katie practices family medicine with Ohio Health. She has patients of all ages, and if you read her reviews, She is off the charts in bedside manner, which really makes a lot of sense to me because you'd have to have good bedside manner and patience to be married to this guy, Dr. Sergio. One of the things I've always said about our fundraising committee is that when we came to you for money, we tried to make it a partnership. We tried to, if you did something for us, we tried to tell people about it. And I think we've had some success in doing that. As a result, we've built some partnerships, and there's several examples, but I'm going to use the doc here as the prime example. They invested in our weight room. As things have gone on, you've seen this guy. I heard the comment, who's that guy on the sidelines at the football games running up and down? What's he doing? Well, he became our team doctor out here. There have been occasions where I've been able to call him for advice. Said, Doc, we've got the weight room just about done, but if we have a little extra money, what can you recommend? He said, oh, you're great with strength and conditioning training, but you need to think about cardiovascular. So thank you to this family, a gifted surgeon, respected doctor, and you guys as well. Thank you very much. Thompson Concrete. Better late than never, Bradford. 3 Thompson brothers attended Alexander School. Step away from them. Tab, Scott, and Brad. Thompson Concrete is a multi-million-dollar business these days in Columbus, Ohio. They do a vast amount of charity work, but I mentioned the figures. You missed that, Brad, but to put a floor in like this was going to be several $100,000, and you know, we couldn't afford that, frankly. So they really came through for us. I already told you about the specs and the tolerances on this floor, but right before they were going to come in and do the floor, I went up and I stopped by one day and met with Scott and Brad, and I said, you know, we are really tight on the budget. Is there any other way we can save money? And Scott looked at me and said, Jeff, we'll figure a way, we'll get the cost down, and they did. They came through for us. The boys came by it honestly. Many of us remember their dad, Fred. Fred worked for Gene Engel, and Fred was an early example of community, someone who served the community. Fred would bring home a bulldozer from work and help build some of these baseball fields. To that end, just outside the door, there's going to be a donor recognition wall, and one section of that is a community service recognition wall that's going to be named for Fred as an example to all of us. So thank you, Brad and Thompson Concrete. Where did Mike? He's hiding in the back there. Mark Snyder, who's with you today, Mark? Your wife? Rita, thank you. Snyder, Fuller, and Stroh. Mark came, I got to know Mark later in the project, sits on the board at Hocking Valley Bank, but has a home here in the Alexander District, Lake Snowden, financial advisement, insurance. So again, Mark got wind of the project, indicated they'd wanted to help out, and was one of those people that came in at the end and really gave us a boost to get this thing across the finish line. Thank you, Mark. The Cornwell family, Les and Connie, their 3 kids, Ann, Chris, and David, grew up in the district. Les's reputation precedes him. He and Connie have always been great supporters of our society. Les was someone who was there from day one when we talked about whether this was even feasible to do. He was a supporter. I know Nate and I hit him up every week. We would have conversations. We would call. We would exchange ideas. Les, how can we do this? How can we save some money? So appreciate that. We recognize Nate and the Schaller family. I almost forgot you, Russ. Matthews Insurance and the Rotary. Russ Norris is here on behalf of both organizations. Russ helped us out early on with fundraising. Both of those organizations, the Matthews Insurance and the Rotary, stepped up to help us get this thing done. Very briefly, I'd like to, some folks couldn't join us today, and they're no less important, so I'd like to go ahead and recognize them. Jeff Chaddock Envisage Wealth, which is an Ameriprise brokerage. Jeff didn't have any skin in this game at all, but he became aware of the project, held a fundraiser for us, and really stepped up. Jeff facilitated a $100,000 grant, which really got this thing over the hump. So thank you to Jeff and Envisage. Mark, I almost forgot you. Mark Porter. I don't know Mark that well, but we all recognize his signs. Anyone who is bold enough to wear a tutu and a wand and appear on a sign has got a pretty strong constitution. Who's with you today, Mark? Teresa. If you go to just about any school in southeastern Ohio, you will probably see a Mark Porter Family of Dealership sign. And what a testament. Something I've said about all these people is that if you're looking for a place to do business, look no further than their community involvement, because if they care enough to contribute to their community, they care enough about you, and I think that's certainly true. Thank you, Mark and Teresa. RQX Compounding and New Manufacturing, they're the one operation in Athens County that can produce and distribute drugs, and it's on the legal side. Pharmaceutical Compounding helped us out. Don Hawk, another member of the construction committee. If you look at any of the buildings around here that are made of block, I've said this before, Don probably built them, and there's an equal chance that we never got a bill. Don has been instrumental. It's been a pleasure to get to know him. We spoke briefly about, we've recognized Holzer, and I touched on Aaron Ramsey, but he's a chiropractor. He's worked on many of us. I was with him one day, and we talked about the project, and I said, has anyone approached you? And he goes, no, but I wish they would. And I said, well, after you get done wrenching on me, let's have that conversation. What a great family. They're here in the district. They have kids in the elementary school, so we appreciate him. We're getting down to the end now. The Royce family, where are you? There they are. I wish we could have every person who donated any amount of money or their time or their services stand here today, but we all know that's not practical. I can't think. The Royces were the very first private donors, even before this thing got launched. They gave money to help this thing go. I can't think of a better example to exemplify the community, whether you were the person who gave a dime at the concession stand or wrote a check for several $100,000. Thank you to everybody in the community that pitched in and made this happen. So the Royce family, on behalf of everyone, lastly, this is going to be hard for me. All right. One guy didn't get to finish the journey with us. My father-in-law, Pete Good. If you look up there, there's a sign in memory of my mother-in-law. Pete gave a substantial donation. He enjoyed coming out and seeing all the kids here, not only your kids, but everybody in the community. He plugged in. He was a regular at the crowds, so I know he's looking down on us. Thanks, Pete. All right, that's about enough of me. Did I forget anyone? Is there anyone? Robert, I'm going to recognize you. All this welding you see, the fire escape, Robert helped us out. Thank you. I'm not proud. Is there anybody here that I overlooked? Raise your hand, stand out. We get everybody? Okay. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the acting board, the president, Board of Education President Jay Barnes, as well as Fred Davis, who was the president at the time that this project kicked off. Would you guys come forward and dedicate the building and snip the ribbon for us?
I don't get much of a chance to make speeches anymore now that I'm not with the Little League, but I just want to personally thank every one of you that came today, because you've been a part of a lot of kids' lives, and you'll be a part of a lot of kids' lives down the road. And we've got a great cross-section here because 40 years ago, Les Cornwell and Fred Zirkle asked me if I'd consider running for the school board. And over 40 years ago, Jerry Royce and I was building a Little League field up behind the old grade school because we didn't have the facilities. And probably 35 years ago, Mike Merkel had a mining company, and we went out and built or laid the land out for the Little League fields and the soccer fields. And so there's a whole history here. And I want the kids to know that they need to invest in their future too. And the Jerry Royces and Les Cornwells and those people of the world have made all this possible. And so if you have a dream, it may take years to accomplish it, but every one of you has made a child's dream come true in this community. And that's what makes strong communities. And we may disagree, and we may argue like cats and dogs, but Neil and I still think the world of each other. And the Village of Albany supports the schools, and the schools support the Village of Albany. So if you don't live here, and you're looking for a place to bring and raise your kids, and have a solid community supporting them, Albany's the place to go. Tammy, you put up with me years ago, and we made it through, didn't we? So the whole history here, and it takes, the saying, it takes a community to build and support children is true. The Kellys were a godsend when they come here. And every one of you deserves credit. But I'm telling you, Kim and her husband have done a great job, and it will benefit for this for years. And Jeff, I know you don't like it, but you deserve it. So we're going to cut the ribbon here. It's not going to benefit me a whole lot. I can't walk that well anymore, so I'm not going to walk a lot. My basketball days are over. Dr. Sergio's working on my wife's knees and keeping her in shape, so I appreciate that. But stick around. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts, from the school board. We really appreciate the time and effort, and put the effort you put into Alexander kids.
Thanks, Fred. This, as many of you know, this is my first term as school board member, and I don't necessarily know how it happened, but I got roped into being the president this year. And I came into this project, or I guess you could say my involvement, almost at the tail end. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of planning, a lot of disagreements, as Fred mentioned. It is very nice that the community is here standing together today. Hopefully this building can bring the rest of the community together as we move forward. This is, I stand looking at it from what it was as a dark, empty shell with a dirt floor just, I think, a little over 2-3 years ago, to what it's transformed into today. And every one of you, I mean, I thank you on behalf of the district. We could not have done this without the community's support and financial support. As we move forward, if, as Fred said, if you're thinking about coming to the community, Alexander is a place that I would hope you would consider. We have, I think, Jeff said it well, we always seem to be just a notch above our neighbors. And I don't say that arrogantly at all. I think it's a testament to our teachers. I think it's a testament to all of our staff, administration, and past and present school board members. Lord knows we do not do this for the pay as school board members, because we have a lot of headache and a lot of communication and a lot of gripes and complaints. So we don't do it for the money. We do it, as Fred would say, because we love kids and we want to do what's best for them. And have them have a bright future. So with that being said, again, thank you to all of our donors on behalf of myself, Fred, past, present school board members, and the administration at the school. Thank you very much.